everyone, welcome back. So today's video is going to be another throwback palette. It is Thursday morning here. I'm trying really hard not to say good morning. And today I wanted to do a look using the LORAC Pro 2 palette. Now, if you would like to have an opinion on which palette I use next, make sure to follow me on all of my different social media platforms. Everything that I have is listed in the description box, as well as on the community tab here on my channel. So if you're like, what's the community tab? Click on it. I post polls, I post questions, I post random tiddly bits. It's kind of a great way for me to interact directly with you, especially if you don't have Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, all those other things. And if those are things you're like, I don't want to be a part of those, join me over on the community tab here on my channel. So I got a lot of feedback as to what palette to use next, but I have chosen the LORAC Pro 2 palette, and in case you have forgotten, this is what it looks like. Now this was released, trying to be a little bit more of a cooler toned palette compared to its sister, which is the original LORAC Pro palette, which, side note, was the first high-end palette I ever purchased, and I love it. I really do, so we'll do a look with that too. But today I wanted to use this because I wanted to kind of play in these navies, these charcoals, these silvers, the purples. I'm trying to get myself out of the just neutral eye box, that zone, play with a little bit of color, show you that you can create eye looks that are daytime appropriate, that are absolutely wearable, and still incorporate color. I know for a lot of us, color is a really scary thing when it comes to eyeshadow. Start small. Start in small doses, build up. So let's create something kind of smoky today. I'm mimicking how I feel, which is just very pretty. I have an off-the-shoulder top on today because it is warm outside. I actually love this top. I will link it below in the description box. I got it at Nordstrom, and the last time I checked, it was still on sale. So before we get into this, I did want to add a little tiddly bit that I had read this morning that I think ties in really well to this whole throwback eyeshadow palette series, using and focusing on things that we already own and love. And here's what I read. Happiness does not come from chasing after and getting things that we want. Happiness comes from wanting what we already have. I just thought that was absolutely profound. It really ties into this throwback series of palettes we already own and love. Dig them out. Let's create some looks together. Let's have some fun sitting down and chatting. And thank you guys for your support and for giving me feedback about this. I appreciate each and every one of you, and sneak peek about what's going to happen. I think it turned out fabulous. So let's get into this. So first things first, I'm going to prime my eyes with the Milani eyeshadow primer, which, by the way, absolutely smitten with. Now before we get into the eye look, I'm also going to take some loose powder because I already know that the LORAC Pro shadows are very powdery and they do kick up a lot of product, which I don't care. I love the shadows. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just going to, since I already did my foundation, put a lot of powder under here so that if I do get fallout, which is probably going to be inevitable, especially with darker colors, then I can just wipe it away. The foundation that I'm wearing today, I'm actually in test mode for. I'm going to be doing a full review on it, so you're going to have to wait to see what it is. It is drugstore. I'm super excited about it. Oh, goodness gracious, powder everywhere. I'm going to take a Real Technique setting brush, and as I always do, I take whatever is the most flesh toned, which in this case is this light buttery yellow shade called Buff, and I like to set my eyeshadow primer with shadow. Now I'm going to dip into Snow. This is a Chikuhodo GSN 9 brush, which I love the Chikuhodo brushes. They are wonderful. I actually want to try there's a new person that Tara Babies has been talking about her brushes, and it's sold on Beautylish. I'm going to blend that out, don't worry. And I'd like to try her brushes because she's just been raving about them. And I'm a big fan of well-made, well-constructed brushes, especially if they're natural bristled brushes. And I know they're kind of spendy, definitely not a drugstore price point, but it's a brush you're going to have for a very long time. And I just like the way natural bristled brushes apply product. Alright, now, because we're going to be doing some cool tones today, I'm going to do the opposite, which is a warm tone in my crease. I just find that it really helps brighten up a cooler toned eyeshadow look to have something a little bit warmer in the crease. So, we're going to go in with this light brown shade. With these shadows, always do this. You can see all of the extra powder falling off onto the palette rather than onto your face. This is a Wayne Goss number 19 eyeshadow brush. Just a nice big fluffy situation here. So I've started another show. Surprise, surprise. I've watched so many shows over the past year. Like, because we've committed to having Netflix and now Hulu, I've been able to watch a lot of shows that I didn't have access to before. And we've started watching on Amazon, because we have Amazon Prime too, because why not? I love Amazon. I love Amazon Prime. Like, especially if you live here, or, well, if you don't, I guess, you can still get 2-day shipping, but here they have same-day shipping because there's an Amazon, like, distribution center or something here. So fabulous. Anyways, so there's a show on Amazon called Sneaky Pete, and I was watching Rachel Ray, and she had one of the main characters. I've never heard of her, but she was interviewing her, and Rachel was talking about how she loves the show, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I have Amazon. I haven't really watched a ton of actual shows, you know, like with a premise on Amazon. I've watched, you know, other random things, but it's a good show. So, of course, I'm on season 1. There's 2 seasons so far. Season 2 is the current season, and I'm halfway through, and I would recommend it. Let's see. So it's a show about this guy who, he's in jail, and he's a con artist, and he gets out of jail and pretends to be his cellmate. And so he kind of like meets up with the cellmate's family and pretends to be that guy. And the family has a bail bonds business. So it's very interesting because like he's trying to be sneaky with them, but I think they're trying to be equally as sneaky. And it's just a very interesting show, and it's entertaining, and I enjoy it. So today, after I'm done filming this, I am going to go to Ulta, and my black liquid eyeliner, which I'll probably end up using today, I think it's starting to get on its last leg. I've had it since last summer, and it's starting to get a little goopy. I like it. I would repurchase it. It's the NYX Matte Liquid Liner. Do I have this on autofocus? I think we're just looking at all this today, but whatever. And so I'd like to try the Milani 17-hour liner, and I'm hoping they have it in stock. If not, you'll have to swing into CVS or something. I've spent, you know, 2, 3, 4 times the amount of this, like the cost of that eyeliner on higher end eyeliners, and I really like that NYX one. I mean, it works just as well. I've always been a fan of the Kat Von D Trooper, and I didn't sway from that for a few years, but then I decided, you know what, there's got to be something a little cheaper that does the same thing. And by golly, there is. One of you commented on how long I take blending my first shadow. There's a reason for that. If I don't get the first shadow blended well and it looks patchy, there's no returning it. Everything else starts to look patchy and is messy. So I do spend a lot of time on the first, laying down a base, but I think it's really good, and I think for me, it's key to lay down a really solid foundation before trying to build on it. Think about that. Think about what I just said. Like, before trying to build a house, you're going to make sure that your foundation is level and doesn't have, like, cracks in the cement and holes and all that stuff. Like, you need to lay a good foundation before you start building on top of it. No coffee this morning because I've already had my limit. Because if I drink too much coffee before I do this, I talk a million miles an hour. I'm all over the place. I feel jittery. I feel like I'm on some sort of scary drug. So today we are drinking the Kavita Sparkling Probiotic Strawberry Acai Coconut Drink. This is really delicious, and it's got probiotics in it, which are wonderful for your body. If you want a random recommendation, buy yourself a probiotic. Yes, you can get it from yogurt too. And you can also get it from this drink. But I like to have options in my house because sometimes I don't feel like taking a pill. I'd rather take a drink. That was funny. So I'm going to go in with a number 4 Wayne Goss brush. Tap, tap, tap. I think for me, one of the greatest challenges when it comes to applying eyeshadow is getting your eyes to look somewhat even. Like, your eye shapes are not exactly the same, and then getting the eyeshadow blended just as well over here as over here, and placing the shadow in just the right spot. And if your eyes aren't perfect, you almost have to trick your eyes to make it look like the shadow's in the same place kind of thing. I'm going to take this really small Wayne Goss brush and dip into this beautiful navy. Isn't it so crazy how shadow can just really make your eyes look so much different? I just think it's so cool. When I was younger, I had no clue how to do eyeshadow. I literally thought eyeshadow, you would just take the applicator that came in the container and sweep it across your eyelid. I thought that was all you ever did with eyeshadow. And so I never played around with it. I really, only in the past couple years, have even understood how to do eyeshadow. And it takes time too. Like, you don't just wake up and be good at it. I mean, we all start somewhere. So I was just telling my mom that, well, and actually she was encouraging me, because last video or a couple videos ago I was kind of saying how I was a little bit embarrassed about where I started. And I mean, and I think I really started with a pure, humble heart about it. I didn't start having any clue how to even do anything. I just wanted to chat with you guys, and you know, I thought, well, if I shared about makeup, you know, I like makeup, and if I shared, I also used to do like smoothie recipes and like house stuff that I love, and I still share those types of things. But I really just created it as a way to chat with people, you know? And I quite frankly didn't know what I was doing. I still feel that way. I don't know if I'll ever feel completely confident in this, maybe, because this is a self-taught thing. Yes, you can learn. By golly, you can learn. I really learned a lot. I've come a long way, and I still have a long way to go. But this is something you have to practice, you know. You have to physically put eyeshadow on yourself to get better. And I know I shouldn't despise my humble beginnings, because we all start from someplace and don't, you know, that's all I knew then. And so just like with anything else in life, you only know so much then, so you can't look back and be like, well, I should have done this or I should have done that. I didn't know. I literally didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to edit. I never opened an editing program in my life. That was torture. I didn't know how to film. I've never had a fancy camera. I still don't know anything about photography or lighting or anything. Thankfully, my friend Jelena passes on what she knows to me and helps me a little bit with figuring out ISO and shutter speed. Like, that's foreign language to me. I just want to turn this on and hit record. That's like my strength, not, you know, the technical side of things and editing. I don't enjoy that, which is why I try to keep my videos just real raw and just chatting, because that's who I am. You know, I'm only going to put out what is authentic and real to me. Like, why would I put out something that's not who I am? Like, what is the point? I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not. I like that this blue, zoom in a little bit. I like that this blue stays looking blue. I suppose I should have zoomed in a long time ago. I'm sorry. I wanted you to be able to see my pretty flowers. And that it doesn't turn to like a gray, or like some blues, when you blend them out, they start to look real black or real gray. I think this one stays pretty true. So here's what we're going to do, because I want to tie in my lip and cheek color, which we're going to get to. And so in order to do that, I need to dig into the peach color for sure at some point. But I want to feather in a little bit of this plum to the outer edge here, so it kind of fades from blue to purple. This is a Morphe E36 brush, which I really like this pencil brush. It's small, it's soft, and it's not so dense that you can't blend with it. I don't like a pencil brush where they're so stiff that they like scratch at your eye. I had one from Sephora that did that, and I got rid of it. It was just way too stiff. I mean, it was probably good for like directly getting into an area, but for blending, that was not its strong point. Okay, now I'm going to go into this Nectar. By the way, I'm using all these matte shades, but we're going to top it off with a little bit of the brighter colored lid shade in a minute. I was actually going to take this eye look in a different direction, but this is how it's turning out, so we're going to roll with it. So to try to fix this outside that's looking a little muddy, I'm just dipping into the Nectar shade just to kind of lighten and soften up the edges, because that light brown color, it just, you know, it looked okay at first, but I think it's a little too cool for the crease. I'm going to take this ThUrSdAy Edit, which I don't even think they make this anymore, but just grab yourself a nice navy eyeliner, and I'm just going to smudge this up top. I actually really like the blue eyeliner instead of the black. It's not as harsh. It creates a little bit of a softer effect. I'm using the Chanel Le Volume Mascara. That's what the wand looks like. It's a nice rubber wand, and it has a lot of teeth to really grab those lashes. When I do a very dark, smokier eye, I always make sure to get a lot of mascara on so we can get a lot of length and volume going so that the eyelashes can even stand a chance to compete with the shadow to kind of balance it out. Because if you just did like a light coat of mascara and a really dark eyeshadow, it just wouldn't look right. I also kind of like to bring my lashes out that direction. However, I'm going to be putting some false lashes on today. These are the Red Cherry number 43s. They're very fluffy and they're quite long out here, so they're going to give you that kind of cat eye lifted appearance, like a kind of like a butterfly. I'm going to do a little bit of navy with this very small number 8 brush here by Wayne Goss. Really small. Really going to shimmy that on into my lower lashes here after I clean up that lash glue. I don't want to make my lower lash line too heavy and dark, but I still want to define it just a bit. Now I'm going to dip into that purple color. And this is the same type of brush, just bigger. This is a MAC 212, so it just will cover a little more surface area quickly. And I'm just going to stamp that purple shade under here as well, a little bit on top of the blue, but going further in so we have dark blue to purple. To marry everything together, we're going to take this Z-10 brush from Chikihodo and dip into this matte nectar shade and blend underneath everything down here. Now we're going to dip into a little bit of beige mixed with a little bit of rosé. Ooh, rosé sounds good right now. And pop that in the inner corner. My face is screaming for some blush at this point, so we are going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic Swish and Pop Blusher in the shade The Climax. I like these blushes because the outer portion is darker, which it's meant to like contour maybe the back half of the cheeks. And in the center, you have a lighter peachier color, and that's meant to kind of pop onto the apples of the cheeks. So I'm going to use my Wayne Goss number 14 cheek brush here. Tap that off, a little hair flip, and let's move the baby hairs, which are always there. They never grow past that length. They're just always there. And just kind of shimmy that on back here. This is a really beautiful blush for the upcoming season. I mean, year-round, sure. But I like it more in the spring, summer because it's very like a bronzy peach shade. And it works well if you wear a lot of nude lips or peachy nude lips because it gives the face some good definition in like a bronzy way. You can see how pigmented that is. Holy moly. Now these are not a cheap blush. If I remember right, they're like $40-some. You know, up there with Chanel. I like Chanel blushes. I like these Charlotte Tilbury blushes. They're just a little more spendy. But if you're on Beautylist, you know, you'd like to pick up a few of these Wayne Goss brushes, I'd recommend trying one of these. And you know, Beautylist has that payment plan too, so you don't have to like go at it all at one time. Now I'm going to pop this peach shade. Ooh, that does pick up a good amount of product. Pop this peach shade here. The one thing I don't like about doing my face first, which I'm doing for the sake of time, and I don't want you to know what I have on my face yet, is that because I have to add additional powder to prevent fallout, if you have, I don't know, I feel like it just makes my skin a little bit drier, so we're going to do a little Fix Plus to remedy that situation. I'm going to bronze my face. Actually, this is going to be my highlighter, but you can use these Bobbi Brown Shimmer Bricks as a glowy blush too, or just as a blush if you want. This is the shade Bronze, which I'm going to skip these darker colors because I'm using it as a highlighter, but if you were going to do like a blushing, highlighty bronze thing, I would swish it all together. This is a Zoeva Luxe Highlight number 105 brush. So we're just going to stay up here. Even though, you know what? I totally lied because there's some coppery colors down here, so let's do this. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Cocoa Puff. Pass it to me now. Ooh. Oh, I forgot how much I love this. Ooh, it's not overkill. I like it. Oh, I love these. I have several of her shimmer bricks. Several shades. I think about 5 to be exact. I just like the formula. But I also appreciate, and I'm a fan of a highlighter that's not glowing to the sky. Because that, my friends, will emphasize texture. If you have it. So once again, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of the sides. Because, you know, if you catch me from the side, I want to be glowing too up in here on my big old forehead. Well, I shouldn't say that. But it is literally like a 5 head, but that's okay. I needed that. Oh, that feels wonderful. My face was feeling a little bit like the Sahara. A little bit tight. I'm going to go in with my tried and true Lancome. Oh, it's, of course it's really dull. See, now normally Lazy Chelsea would just try to like shimmy this all over, but I will sharpen it so we can be precise. So stinking gorgeous. I can't decide what lip to do. Are you surprised? I have 3 things that I pulled. I have Charlotte Tilbury's Very Victoria, which is a really good darker nude. I have one that you can't get, but it's like my favorite. I want to wear it, but I know you'll be mad. It's Dior, the Dior Addict in the shade Spotlight. They redid these, but this exact one no longer exists, and it's freaking phenomenal. And then this one I bought last summer. You can get this one from Dior. Dior Addict Incognito. So those are the 2 options. Kind of similar. One's darker, one's lighter. What do we want to do? I'm going with the lighter one because our lip liner is nice and dark already. Now this pairs really well with the Ideal. It's just like they're close in tone, so it won't be as much of a contrast. Whereas this is more of a contrast, and oh my gosh, I love this. I love the Dior Addicts because they're so creamy and glossy. Now, because of those 2 words, it's not long lasting. Just drink out of a straw. I love how this turned out. I've always been a fan of the LORAC Pro 2 palette. I hadn't played with some of the navy too much. I've always created really pretty peachy looks with this, and I like the tones of like the gray and the chrome because it's got a little bit more brown in it, so it's not so cool toned. So give this palette a whirl if you haven't pulled it out in a while. Ooh, we should probably play with that jade color next time. There's so many things we can do with this, you know. I'm just excited about this series. I think it's just a good reminder to dig out what we already have. We already have so many good things. I like how this look turned out. I initially wasn't going to do peach. I was going to go more the silver and blue route, but we can do that next time as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what palette you would like me to use next. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed yourself today, and do not forget to subscribe so you do not miss anything from me in the future. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and we will talk very soon. Bye, guys.